My soul is welcome here, Denise. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 Yes, it is. Say good morning to your fellow neighbors. Shake hands and good Thank you. Yes, oh my goodness. Yeah, he is. We got it. Okay. All right. Have at it. Oh, wait a minute. We have one more thing to do. Sorry. Oh, dear, I forget. It is the new first Sunday of the month, so we do celebrate the birthdays of the month. All the July birthdays in the house, raise your hand. We got some July birthdays. And anybody that you love and celebrate in your life or that is here or transition will celebrate that as well. So, happy birthday. And many more. That was it. Well, you know, I am a scrumptious dish. I'm a star. I'm still a star, even though I'm not on that show anymore. I'm still a star. Still a star.
Says thank you all. Thank you all for being here on this beautiful July morning. I never thought I'd be here, but we're in the middle of summer. Right? Isn't that amazing? How time flies. Let us fly through this service. So let us start with reciting together our opening statement. And let us affirm
There's only one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God the good.
As we light the Christ candle every Sunday morning, we remember that the light of Christ, the divine Spirit of God, is alive within each of us. And as we go through the service, let us keep that in mind. And not only just through this service, but through the whole week. Especially during those challenging moments when maybe you have to interact with somebody and their light isn't as obvious as it could be perhaps, but let us remember that it is always there in all of us. Let us affirm together our vision and our mission statement.
Centered God, we inspire spiritual transformation, creating a world of love, peace, and prosperity. We are an inclusive spiritual community, inspiring, awakening, and serving in love.
And as we serve in love, let us not forget our children, all of God's children, the ones in our lives, the ones in our communities, and the ones in our world. And especially, let us not forget the child within that calls out for nurturing and love and care. So let us together bless these children.
We love you, we bless you, we behold Christ in you. We accept you just the way you are. Walk in beauty, you are divine.
Another song.
And another song. I'm totally surprised I can tell. We're going to go ahead and stand up and sing out of the Red Book if you want to follow theirs, number 362. 362, since it is 4th of July on Tuesday. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea
prayer box forward. Normally Reverend Carol gives the prayer box blessing, but today Dean has volunteered to do this.
Father, Mother, God, we know that you know the prayers that are in this box before they are written down. We know that you realize the prayers in our hearts before we can even speak them and put them into words. We ask today that we all remember this and that our prayers are answered. Amen.
Thank you, Dean. Our daily word for today is spiritual support. I think that's what most of us are here for. Well, most people come to church every Sunday, and some people even more often, but for spiritual support. But not only to receive spiritual support, but to offer it up to others. I give and receive light and love. I am grateful for my spiritual support system, the people and practices that reinforce my spiritual understanding. Prayer is an integral part of that system. I take time each day to quiet my thoughts, speak prayerful words, or simply be. I am part of something greater than myself. Keeping this truth in my heart prepares me for any seeming challenge in life. Knowing that God and I are one gives me strength. I build upon my support system by reaching out to people, forming friendships, joining prayer partners, and attending church services. In this way, I bolster my sense of belonging. I find inspiration to live my purpose, and I also become part of the support system of others. I give and receive light and love. Today's daily word was taken from John 12:36, which reads, "While you have the light, believe in the light, so that you may become children of light." Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Reverend Denise Wheeler. Let us say together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I should never be amazed when I come to Unity how everything flows and segues, even though many of us haven't even communicated beforehand with one another. Amy's songs and the music. We'd like to take a moment and acknowledge our own inner presence right now. As we take a little bit of time and enter our meditative state. And for myself, one of the best ways I have found to prepare myself is to focus on my breath and my breathing. In Genesis, we read that the Lord God formed mankind out of the dust of the earth. And he breathed in, and the man became a living soul. So if you breathe in right now with this awareness, in the light of the Christ light here, where is God? Where's your Creator? If not inside, to enliven your soul. Your soul is ever present. It's always with you. You can get into the depths of hell and your soul will still be there to guide you, to comfort you. As long as you remember it's there within and not someplace without. So as you breathe in, take in this knowledge, take in this awareness, take in this light, and as you breathe out, send that light, that awareness, that love that you feel out into the world. This time of year when so much is acknowledging freedom, acknowledging your soul within brings us freedom. True freedom comes from within, regardless of our circumstances, regardless of where we reside, regardless of what surrounds us. And let us always remember that the freedom comes from the soul within. Take a moment now and just absorb that, embody that, and feel gratitude for that soul within you. The same one that is around and within us all. And for that we give thanks. We give thanks that we come here, and as David has already mentioned, that we're here for spiritual support. This is part of your spiritual support system. You have internal spiritual support systems too. Today's talk is about the calm peace of my soul. It comes from a deeper quote from Krishnamurti that I will repeat later. But I'd like to give you a little bit of background about why we're even visiting that today. Many of you already know that I was a member of Unity Church in Fort Myers, Florida for over 25 years. And there's a wonderful, wonderful woman there named Christina Phelps Bowman. She's been a licensed Unity teacher for almost as many years. And she's also a minister like Wanda Gale and I are of the Beloved Community. So she's a spiritual peacemaker as well. So I have done over the years many weddings for Christina because she has her business, if you could call it that. She's not a wedding consultant, she's an officiant. And she's often been very, very busy through certain seasons with weddings. And so she's been overwhelmed because she did them in Florida and Tennessee and North Carolina. So very often I would be asked to do weddings for her. I also had much experience as a minister doing celebrations of life and baptisms, and it was just been joyous to be part of her life for so many years. So about a month or so ago, I got a call from Christina, and she said, Denise, in my class tomorrow, we're going to be calling you as a guest speaker, and this is the question that we're going to be putting to you. What do you do to bring yourself back to center when you think that you've been knocked off, when you don't feel centered and grounded? So I had overnight to pray on that and think about that. And so I was very well prepared the next day with a long list. So Spirit always has other plans, right? Tell Spirit what you're planning on doing, and she'll bump it up a notch. Christina called me. We had really terrible phone service. 3 times she tried to call, and each time, even on her end with the speakerphone, she could not hear me very well. So she just, in her own Christina fashion, said, okay, well, we'll just wing it. We thank you very much, and you have a good day, and, thanks for making this effort. So I thought to myself, well, we're here to do this for a purpose. So knowing that she's always got her phone there to keep her reminded of the time and things like that, I quickly took this, full page and sent her 7 little text messages. That's how I was able to bring this down to what we're going to share with you today. I texted her, she answered back, thank you so much, and they just went with it. So Christina said after the class was over, a woman came up to her and said what she was most impressed about in this last hour that had taken place was not any of the information that I had sent about how to bring yourself back to center. She was amazed that neither Christina nor myself had gotten flustered or annoyed or irritated about the poor phone service, that we just, went with the flow, and she put her class together and I just followed suit because I've known her for 25 years. I know how this woman thinks. So that was very, very helpful. So today's talk is called The Calm Peace in My Soul. And I'd like to share with you some of the insights that I had shared with Christina and her class that day. Many of you are already practicing this. You may be practicing this in a different order than what I'm about to present today. But basically, it's what has worked for me over the years, that whenever I feel like I'm off balance or I'm not comfortable with what is going on in the environment, or I just want things to be different than the way that they are. Isn't that really the definition of suffering? We want things to be different than the way they are. So these are some of the tools that I use to find my way back to my own calm peace in my soul. So the first thing for myself, or for any of us, is awareness. Before you can do anything to get yourself back on track or get yourself centered or balanced again, first we have to be aware that we're not there, that we're someplace we're uncomfortable with. So awareness is actually the first key or the first tool. But what are we trying to be aware of? For me, I'm paying attention to my feelings. I must be aware that I'm not feeling comfortable right now. There's something that's not right about the situation, or there's something that's not healthy about my reaction or response to what's going on. So without internal awareness, I can't change anything about what's happening. I'm kind of stuck. What else can we be aware of? So this was a big one for me for many years. We can all be our own worst critic, true? We can all be very successful in the public eye, but back here, you know, that self-talk, that criticism, not good enough, you know, you could have done that better, always some kind of judgment or self-condemnation. So the other thing to be aware of besides our feelings is, what are we saying to ourselves? What is that self-talk? And is it kind? Is it loving? Is it compassionate? Or is it full of criticism, condemnation, or judgment? Once we have awareness, for myself, the next step is that I can choose. I'm going to make a decision. Am I stuck where I am? Do I have to be right in this moment, or do I really choose to be peaceful? I'm an introvert. I don't need to be in charge of anything but me. So most of the time, my efforts are all about how can I control what's happening in here. So my choice is always going to be, regardless of what's going on, can I be peaceful at this moment? Now, mind you, these steps, and there's 7 of them, and we're on the second one, these steps all take a matter of moments after practice. They're going to happen rather quickly, and some of them actually are interwoven with one another. So, do I want to be peaceful, or do I want to maintain this feeling of tenseness? Do I want to be centered, or do I want to be stuck? Now, I'm always going to go for being centered. So the third step, in order to reach that place for me, is I need to stop whatever I'm doing, stop the self-talk, and focus on my breathing. Well, for me, this is an easy habit because I've been a yoga instructor for quite a number of years now, and we always focus on breath work when we're doing yoga practice. Not only at the beginning and at the end, but all the way through the practice, we focus on our breath work. And being a caregiver, that's also very helpful because you can see when other people are not breathing in a helpful way for themselves, that their breath is short and shallow. So we'll focus on the breathing. And my invitation to you is, when you've got awareness, if you decide to choose peace, and you make the effort to stop whatever that chatter is inside your head, when you stop, go right to your breath. And you can all try this with me now. Just take your hands and put your hands on your belly. Take a nice breath in. And it doesn't have to be a long one. Just take a nice breath in. Here's the part that counts. Let it out with a soft sigh. Doesn't that feel good? Do it again. It feels so good. So I like to tell the students sometimes that when you're having a dialogue with your teenage daughter and you hear that in front of you, just tell yourself, she's just releasing stress and tension. So focusing on your breath is really key because it brings us into the present moment. It helps us focus on and stay in that awareness that we need to keep. Now that we're in that place where we're breathing nice and slowly, you might notice, and again, this all happens so quickly and the segue is just flowing one into the other, that in that moment that you're releasing that breath, can you also release whatever judgment you were holding? whatever criticism that you happen to have had, can you just let go? We've heard a lot, let go and let God. I'm suggesting to you, let go, release, and breathe. Just breathe. And in that moment where you let go of the judgments, you let go of your breath, you let go of the criticism, as you breathe in again, say to yourself, what is the truth in this situation? Tell the truth. If you go into that soul that we've already visited so often this morning, if you go in there and you ask your soul, what is the truth about this right now? You will hear, not with your ears, you will know intuitively what the truth is. If you're in dialogue with somebody and somebody has just, you felt attacked with words or inflections of some kind, maybe this person, just before they saw you, got some really bad news. Maybe they don't feel well today. Maybe they just had a death in the family, but they're at work and they can't bring that part of their life to work, but they've still got all those emotions stored up inside. We don't know what's going on. Same thing if you get cut off in traffic and that sort of thing. Traffic evidently nowadays is a really, really big issue because people are trying to go somewhere further, faster, and so their driving sometimes is erratic. We've all heard about that. But again, my choice is always to be peaceful. If I'm getting cut off in traffic, I'm more likely to just put my foot on the brake and back up and just bless that person while they're, and hope that they don't hurt themselves or somebody else, because, I don't want to encounter them down the road. I don't, wish them bad. I don't hope that some law enforcement officer sees them or any of that. It's just, you bless them, because in another lifetime that could be me that's living that. So that's another thing that we want to do. We want to tell the truth. And you can do this in a loving way, especially if you have to speak the truth about yourself. Be honest. It says in the Bible, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So here's that, coming back into freedom in a song that we sung earlier today. When you have this inner truth, you also have clarity. And that's a very important key to all of that. After you've been honest with yourself and you tell the truth, now you have clarity, you can make a healthier decision. So this is step 6. Choose peace. Because inevitably when you get to that place where you have clarity, the clarity and the soul's calling and the soul's prompting is you're never going to be prompted to harm self or anybody else, ever. Soul doesn't do that. Life doesn't do that. So now you're in that place deep inside of you where that truth resides, where peace resides, and what David in Psalm 23 describes as green pastures and still waters. Again, all of this takes place in moments. And the more you practice it, the more smooth and quickly it comes together, so that you're making these little decisions moment by moment, and they eventually become effortless. Why are they effortless? Because it's part of the way you live your life. You don't have to do any of these things. They're automatic choices or responses for you. As a yoga instructor, we focus a lot on balance as well. And when I say balance, I'm not just talking about, can I do this? Great. Yoga and balance is about any movement we do on the left side of the body, we repeat it on the right. Balance is about, if you're extending an arm, you're bringing the arm back, extension and contraction. Balance is not necessarily opposites, they're complementary parts of one another. When you have equipoise, internal peace, you can demonstrate this incredibly physical balance. And for long periods of time, if you haven't got caffeine or sugar in your system, which I'm the caffeine nut over here, so I'm very mindful that if I'm going to demonstrate balance, I'm not going to have coffee before I have class. But when I talk about balance, balance always means a lot more to me than just, being able to stand in tree pose. So after you've come to that place, I love the fact that David's mentioned so much about the Christ light, and not just thinking about it once on Sunday morning after he's lit it. The Christ light is in your soul, it's there all the time. And I want to give you a great example of this, that when you're living in this place all the time, it doesn't matter what's going on in the environment, you're going to find these spiritual analogies all over the place. I recently saw a movie called Hidden Figures. This has got to be a popular movie for this area because it was about the arsenal here and about the space race. And the Hidden Figures itself, the title itself, had some really hidden metaphors for me in it. But one of the most telling points in the movie is where the woman who's basically the star of the movie is being interrogated by Kevin Costner. Somebody's accusing her of being a spy because she gleaned information. She's very smart. She gleaned information from a piece of paper. She wasn't supposed to be able to glean that information from. Why is that? Because the paper had, black magic marker all over the place, and they were wanting her to solve these mathematical puzzles without all the information. So they asked her in the interrogation, "How did you know about these figures?" And she says, "I just held it up to the light." So, the ink wasn't very dark. She could see through that, and that helped her to give the information that she needed, which was supposed to be classified information, not available to her because she was military. So, in this other part where you get the clarity and you're choosing peace, you can imagine that what you're doing is you're holding up this situation to the light of Christ. Because light dispels darkness, does it not? And in so many ways, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's, in our economy, whether it's in our family lives, even if we're in spiritual darkness sometimes, light will always dispel darkness. So the seventh step in this, once you've held this issue that you have up to the light, I'm going to suggest to you, create a mantra for yourself. A mantra is simply a word, it could be a sound, it could be a short phrase, it could be a quotation or out of scripture that really, really touches your soul. But the one that our talk today comes from Krishnamurti. Nothing can disturb the calm peace in my soul. So this has become my mantra. When I feel a little irritated or I feel off balance, that's automatic for me now. Instead of, as soon as I get awareness, I'm not saying it happens every single time. I need that awareness first. But right after the awareness, and I make that choice to be peaceful, okay, I can kind of, it's like going from longhand to shorthand, right? Nothing can disturb the calm peace in my soul. And when I go with that, the peace rises up. It just bubbles up from inside. And regardless of what's going on, whether it's a relationship challenge or it's a health issue or it's some kind of a financial surprise that you were not expecting with a due date on it, allow yourself to pause, go through these steps, use your mantra or whatever that word is for you, and let it restore your peace, let it restore your wholeness. I'd like to close with a quotation from Lao Tzu. This one really touched me, and I felt it was meaningful for our talk today. Because one believes in oneself, one does not try to convince others. Because one is content with oneself, one does not need others' approval. Because one accepts oneself, the whole world accepts him or her. Nothing can disturb the calm peace in my soul. Take that to yourself and find your mantra and find your gift. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And she wanted to close with a song, you probably know it, it's actually this after it's I've Got Peace Like a River in My Soul. And you probably know, but I want to make sure the words were in there. I've got peace like a river. You got it? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and stand, because right after we sing this, we're going to sing our next song. Fantastic. Okay, next screen. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. In my soul, next verse. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul, in my soul. Good job, everybody. Go ahead and stay standing. We're going to sing the next song, which is in your red book again, number 206, if you want to follow along in there, or the words will also be up here. Never be afraid to add to the prayer box anytime, any day. 206, if you want to follow along in the book. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands of far and wide. This is my home, the country where